Why is stem cell therapy so seemingly controversial still in this country? Why is that?
You know, if you separate the hype from the hope, the American public is now coming to the point of saying, wait a minute, what's been going on? Where did we start? Where are we now? What's the hope for our families? What is there in our lifetime or in our children's lifetime? I'll do a timeline. Scott, let's take a minute and do that. I think it's interesting. It might answer your question. In 1960, James Till at the University of Toronto announces that he has identified the embryonic stem cell. And we know that the wheels of medicine turn slowly, right? 37 years pass, and suddenly we have a piece of information about stem cells. A professor by the name of Ian Wilmot from Edinburgh University has announced that he has cloned a sheep, and her name was Dolly. Dolly has since bought the farm. Her whole body got involved with tumors as one of the side effects of embryonic stem cells, one of the reasons it hasn't proceeded more than it has. And then I'm going to take you to later in that same year, and this might answer your question. Christopher Reeve, somebody we admired and loved, Mr. Superman, goes before Congress of the United States and asks for money for embryonic stem cell research. The world sees a face on this ailment of his, which is spinal injury. Now, he's being coached by mentors who are embryologists through no fault of Christopher Reeve. He is told what to say, and what he says to us turns out to be inaccurate at the time, but now 12 years later, I'll let you make that decision. Because what he said was cures for MS and Parkinson's and spinal injury and heart failure and diabetes would come from an embryonic stem cell. Had he been coached to say that all of these diseases, all of the above, will be cured with stem cells and not designated that they had to be embryonic stem cells, we wouldn't have been embroiled in this whole battle. Now, you can take the religion and the morality and put it aside for the discussion. In 1998, an event happens at the University of Wisconsin that has great import to the research community. A scientist by the name of James Thomson announces that he has, for the first time, identified, isolated the embryo. It has great importance to the research community. It's a piece of the puzzle they've been waiting for. And now we move forward to 2007, when James Thomson, working with Shinya Yamanaka, a scientist from Japan, announced that they have found a new stem cell. A new stem cell that avoids all of the downside and all the negatives of an embryonic stem cell. They say it is the best of two worlds. It's called the induced pluripotent stem cell that reverts back from your skin cells almost to the point of becoming an embryonic stem cell, but does not actually make that leap. So you don't have any of the side effects. Now, Dr. Robert Lanza, who I mentioned, the scientist, says it's like turning lead into gold. Dr. Ian Wilmot, who Dolly associated as the developer of Dolly the sheep, now makes a statement that he will no longer pursue embryonic stem cell research. He said, I don't have a moral issue with it. I don't have an ethical issue. I just think we have found a better way. It's the best of the two worlds, like I mentioned earlier. And he still, to this day, encourages people, scientists, using induced pluripotent stem cells. And just looking at embryonic stem cells, why have they not been successful? Why, to this date, is there not a documented success in any country of the world? Three factors. They're all scientific. They're not moral. They're not religious. Number one, an embryonic stem cell is rejected. The body rejects it as coming from a foreign source. So therefore, you'd have to be on an immune suppressive drug for the rest of your life. We don't think that's a good idea. Number two, they create tumors. That's known. That's the main factor. And number three, because they're such a particularly potent stem cell and so prolific, they can migrate to other parts of the body where the scientists didn't want them to go. Now, in contrast to that, the very same diseases that Christopher Reeve told us about, those very same diseases are today being healed successfully in 3,800 FDA trials. 1,675 of those trials are using your own bone marrow stem cells. There has been only one embryonic trial approved, and it terminated the first year. There is one other for macular degeneration, and 3,800 adult stem cell trials. The very same diseases that we were told would only be cured with an embryonic stem cell are being cured today. Right here in Chicago, at Northwestern University, at the Feinberg School of Medicine, 17 of 20 MS patients, remitting, relapsing MS patients, are totally disease-free for 5 full years.
Wow.
Dr. Richard Burt is the doctor. He's also treating using the same approach, resetting the immune system, for treating diabetes 1, lupus, scleroderma, and MS, and 20 more diseases. He's using the same formula. That's the ideal thing in medicine. If one thing can work on one disease, how could it work on other diseases of the same family? And in this case, immune disease.